This is the plaintiff, John Holloway. He says he brought his Winnebago and his Honda car to the defendants to install a tow system so he could tow his car behind his RV for a drive down to Key West, Florida. Turns out, this is impossible to do with this make and model of his car, and the transmission was ruined. The defendant made a huge mistake by installing the system, and he's now out over $5,000 and is suing for just that today. This is the defendant, Janice Jones. She says she called the manufacturer of the tow system, got the go-ahead from them to install this type of tow bar for the plaintiff's car, and he went on his merry way once the work was done. 5 months later, the plaintiff calls from somewhere in Never Never Land, complaining the transmission on his car is shot and it's her fault. She begs to differ, thank you very much. Anything could have happened in the 5 months, and she thinks the judge will agree. She's accused of towing the line. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,500 for wasting her time.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says that he brought his RV and his Honda to the defendant's shop to get a system where the RV could tow the Honda, but the system was bad and the transmission got wrecked. The defendant says it was installed properly. It's the case of, I can't recreate because of you.
Thank you, Douglas. Mr. Holloway, you are suing Mrs. Jones' RV accessory company that you've asked us not to mention the company name of, and we'll respect that, for $5,000. You say you're actually out almost double that, because according to you, they inappropriately installed a flat tow at your request on your car, and your car can't take one. Tell me what's going on. What's a flat tow?
Yes, ma'am. I've got pictures if you want to see that.
Yep. But tell me about it also.
Okay. Basically, last year in June or July, we purchased a brand new 2016 Winnebago Aspect 32-foot motorhome.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
To mark what? The empty nesters, or just...
Not yet, but we're hoping to retire in a couple years.
Good for you. Okay, so what happens?
Well, we went to one of the places we had bought several cars to ask them if we could use one of our vehicles as a tow vehicle for the motorhome. And they didn't give us opinion. They said we should...
Meaning to be towed by the motorhome?
Correct, yes.
Oh, okay.
And they asked us to go see them. So we asked them. She said she didn't know, but she'd find out. And in a relatively...
What was it exactly that you... Did you speak to her personally?
Yes.
By phone or in person?
In person.
And what was it exactly that you asked her?
We'd like to have this installed on our car.
And and then she said, I'm going to place a call to find out if you can. What exactly was it that she was supposed to find out?
Just, in other words, I guess I've since found out some cars cannot be flat towed. That's what they call it, flat
But
tow.
what was your impression, not now that there's a lawsuit, but back then, what was it?
I thought that they were the experts and she was checking.
What was your impression of what she was going to ask? Apparently you're a Blue Ox dealer. Blue Ox is the one who manufactures it. So what was your impression she was going to ask Blue Ox?
I really didn't know. I was completely
So you
ignorant
didn't ask her to ask Blue Ox a question?
No, I didn't know what Blue Ox was.
What was it that you were asking Blue Ox at that time? Not later, at that time. What did you say to him? Let me contact them?
I contacted Blue Ox if there was a base plate for that Honda Fit.
For the Honda Fit?
Yes.
Okay. And when you asked them that, do you give them the year of the car?
Absolutely.
All right. And then Blue Ox tells you what?
Yes, there's a base plate made for that car.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you sell him the base plate. Tell me how that works. Tell me what the base plate does. How is it different from just a trailer?
Okay, the base plate is installed on the front of a car to be towed in back of a motorhome.
Okay, so is that the base plate?
Yes, ma'am.
So how does it go underneath the car?
Yes, to the frame.
You're pointing to him. Who are you?
He's my installer.
Oh, you're the installer. Okay. Are you related?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you?
I'm her son.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not a frame, it's a unibody, and it's bolted to the front end of the vehicle. And then a tow bar is attached from the front of the vehicle to the back of the coach that slides into the hitch. Included is a braking system, lights, almost just like a trailer would be, but everything's all flat towable instead of using a trailer.
Okay, now we are here, I believe, over a transmission, because what is it that happens? You use it on several trips throughout the country.
Well, a couple trips. We live in Central Florida. We went to Key West. And just by coincidence, we met some people when we were camping the day we were leaving, and she said, I really like your tow vehicle and your setup, and that's what we wanted to use for ours, but we were told you couldn't tow a Honda Fit.
Did they tell you who told them that?
No, they just said, it was just casual conversation. We were told that. And
Okay,
it's
because
like,
Blue
well,
Ox wouldn't say that, because Blue Ox
Correct.
says they have it. So is there another manufacturer of these that competes with Blue Ox, or are they like the whole game?
No, Roadmaster does,
Okay.
but we're Blue Ox installers.
Right, right.
Okay.
All right, so so you don't know if it was their Honda dealer who told
I have
them
no
that?
idea,
Or what?
no.
All right, so in any event, and then you take another trip after that.
Correct, about a month later,
And where did you go?
to Ohio. It was
Okay.
my mother's 90th birthday party, so we were
Very
going
nice.
up for that. So,
Okay.
And then we were going to go on to Niagara Falls.
Okay.
First night we stopped in Lumberton, North Carolina, and long story short, basically the transmission was burned out. I called the Honda dealer. They came and put it on a flatbed truck to tow it to their dealer, and he said, I don't believe this car can be flat towed. And again, now I've heard this a couple times. I didn't know anything about it, but that was it. And then when he got it there, he called me and said, yes, it is, you fried the transmission. So,
Right, but you folks, when he calls you and who talks to him when he calls from North Carolina? Did you call from North Carolina?
Called from Ohio, actually.
Once you got to your destination. So when he calls, who talks to him?
I spoke to him.
Okay, and what did he tell you?
So, I don't understand. Why can't an RV tow a car? Does anybody know the answer to this?
I've seen RVs tow cars all across America.
So you must need like a special system, which is what we're talking about here. I mean, a Honda is like a small car compared to this, right?
Yes, it is, but maybe the mechanics don't. I don't know. I don't know about cars.
Okay, I do have a question. If you tow a car improperly, can you wreck the transmission on the car being towed?
No.
Can you wreck the transmission on the car that's towing?
No.
Okay, we'll go inside the courtroom.
He told me that his transmission is fried and that he's bleeding here, and he wants me to do something about it.
Okay, so did he tell you why
I-
you would have to pay for his transmission?
I said, sir, as soon as I find out what's going on, I'm going to make a phone call to Blue Ox.
Okay, so you
Find
did
out.
make a phone call. In fact, Blue Ox gave you a statement to show me
Yes,
today,
I had that.
wherein they, let me see. That Blue Ox does not concern themselves with the towability of the vehicles that our customers may wish to flat tow. We simply make a base plate that secures to the frame of the vehicle and allows a tow bar to connect the vehicle. We do not know that every vehicle is towable, as is from the dealership. However, there are also instances when vehicles can be made flat towable with the addition of a drive shaft disconnect or lube pump kit. It falls on the owner of the vehicle to make sure the vehicle is flat towable, and that's his problem and not your problem. We just make one that fits the Honda Fit. All right, now, do you have any evidence that it's not flat towable?
Well, actually, she told me when I called her from Ohio, and what I said to her was, I said, I'm hearing this from several people now, this thing's not flat towable. And her answer was, I beg to differ with them. And I said, I'm just telling you what.
I'm sorry, do you have an answer to what I asked?
Yeah,
Do you have that in writing?
Not in writing, no.
Okay.
I have, but she gave me the name and number of someone at Blue Ox. She said, you need to call, and I've got his name
Right,
here, but
and?
you need to call him, and they'll explain it to you. And
And?
I did. I called him right away, and the first thing, I mean, he didn't even hesitate. He said, I told her, that car can't be flat towed.
Okay. You're saying a lot of things,
Okay.
and I can't operate on flapping gums.
Sure.
I need to operate on evidence. Do you have something from Blue Ox saying that? Because what I have from Blue Ox says the opposite of that.
Okay.
Do you have anything from
No,
Blue
ma'am.
Ox to buttress your case?
No.
Okay. You have a counterclaim against him for $2,500 for wasting your time?
Closing my business for 2 days, sir, ma'am.
Yeah, no, that's
No?
yeah, but no, that's not how it works. That's a price we all pay as Americans for access to the courts. Your remedy, if you shouldn't be found liable, is to win. So there is no, and I understand what you're saying, but that's part of the social contract we all have as Americans, well, as Americans and non-Americans, with access to the court in America.
Ma'am,
All
may I
right.
say
So on
something?
your counterclaim 0, and on your claim against them, it's also 0. Okay. Verdict for the defendants.
So we have a 0-0 tie here in the People's Court. Mr. Holloway, the plaintiff's just come out. You know, I just wondered, did you ever read the instruction manual that came with the
Sure.
car? Did it say anything about towing?
You know, it sort of did, but it was really probably a lot of mumble jumble. That's why I went to them. I thought they're the experts. They'll be able to tell me if I
I mean,
can
it
do
didn't
this.
say flat out, do not flat toe. And one other question. What do you mean by, what is flat toe?
Flat toe is the term, as far as I know, it's the term they use when you hook up your car.
Yeah, but are all 4 tires on the ground or just
Yes.
the back 2?
Yeah, exactly.
Killed your transmission. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I am too.
Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Now here comes Ms. Jones, the defendant, on her way out of the courtroom. I know you wanted money for coming to court, but you didn't get that. So, but you did prevail in the lawsuit.
We
So you
did.
feel a little better now because of that? And I
Yes.
think you learned something. Maybe
Absolutely.
you should be more careful, or at least advise people to check
Their owner's
to see if their
manual.
cars, see
And
if
their
they could be
owner's
towed.
manual always has it if it's flat
Yeah.
towable or not.
Okay, good. Well, everybody's learned something from this. Okay? Thank you very much. And that includes everybody who's watching.
Yes.
And the door's that way. Harvey, I learned something. Did you?
Yeah, Doug, I learned a ton here for sure. I mean, the fact is that the plaintiff here has a theory and no evidence. As a matter of fact, the evidence goes to the contrary of the theory. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.